18-year-old, I don't know what I want to do, to like kind of make that decision coming in. And now I'm leaving and now I still don't fully know what I want to do.
I think it's really hard to see every possibility in college.
College is not about preparing you for the real world. The people that are doing this teaching as academics don't really have any idea what's going on in the real world.
Hello and welcome to Real Talk, a monthly show by Rewriting the Code and hosted by myself, Mayuko. In each episode, we invite you, people from every part of the RTC community, to join us and have real conversations about helping more women into the tech career of their dreams. Each episode is going to premiere live on the Rewriting the Code YouTube channel, so make sure to subscribe and interact with us in the premiere live chat, and comment down below your thoughts on today's show while you're watching. The theme of today's episode is about the gap between academia and industry. Does studying computer science or similar really get you prepped for a career in technology? What's the role of university programs, and do they do enough to prep you for the career that you want? There's a lot of conversation about today's topic in and around the RTC community. So, in today's show, myself and our guests are going to share with you our perspectives, thoughts, and worries on today's topic. So at the beginning of each episode, we'll hear from students in the RTC community. We'll learn about how they got into technology, what's been on their mind, and their thoughts on today's topic. Today's guests are Grace Cuenca and Governess Simpson.
My name is Grace. I'm a senior right now at Princeton University studying computer science and linguistics.
I am a senior at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. I'm majoring in industrial and systems engineering with a minor in computer science.
I just always knew I was going to be a computer science major. So I was raised in New York City, and the high school I went to, fortunately, had like a really good computer science program, which I don't think is common in a lot of high schools. And so because of this, I kind of entered thinking like, yeah, this is what I'll do because this is what I've always done. While there are like pros and cons to that, I think I picked up like other hobbies and like interests along the way. So I'm really interested in languages, in linguistics, and the way like people and languages kind of intersect. Computer science in general is just very interdisciplinary. Last summer, I did research with the Language Technology Institute at Carnegie Mellon. That was super fun. I think that made me realize research or computer science research wasn't exactly for me, but the summers before I did traditional software engineering internships. And the reason I decided to do research one summer was just because I didn't really feel like software engineering was for me. I didn't enjoy it. After graduating this spring, I'll be doing software engineering at Goldman Sachs in New York City. So I'm super excited for it.
It was a very windy journey. So when I graduated from high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I thought I was going to do vocal performance. I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to go on stage. I didn't even consider working in tech at all because of all the preconceived notions that I had about tech, about, oh, it's an office job, or it's really boring, you're not making much of an impact. But I had a teacher who told me, you'd be a really good engineer. And I came in chemistry. I did not last very long in chemistry. I think I saw the 4-year plan and I was like, nope, we're not doing that. And I started to explore what my other options are. And I saw computer science and I was like, oh, I've never done that. Didn't take any classes in high school, didn't have any experience. And I was willing to give it a go. And my first class was C++. That was a mistake. If I were to go back, I would have picked a different language, but I picked C++ and I really struggled with the coursework. I had a really hard time just kind of understanding what was going on. Coding was in a completely new world for me. And so I did end up transferring to my current major now, industrial systems engineering, but I still had a love for technology and I kind of wanted to see, okay, even though I'm not majoring in this field, how can I still find a way to be involved and to succeed in this area? I think my favorite thing from studying this major and just like being at school in general was the community and the people that I was able to meet along the way. I was born and raised in Minnesota, and then I go to school at the University of Minnesota. And so I thought I'd seen it all. And then you come to this enormous public school, and there's so many different people with a lot of different backgrounds, people that I was able to connect close with and kind of understand what they were looking for in a career and where their passions and priorities lie, and kind of how I can interact with people who may have the same or different beliefs as I am. I think it made me a more well-rounded individual. Now that I'm leaving college, I can bring those skills of like compassion and empathy that I've developed talking and working and engaging with these students, and bring that into the workforce with a lot of other people and kind of pass that around.
The professors who teach CS here are phenomenal. And I would say like more on the diverse side than maybe other colleges. I was able to take 2 classes with like upper level CS classes, and there were female CS professors who were leading them. I always just like sit in lecture and just stare in awe at them because they're just so accomplished. And I guess like looking at them, it makes me think that they've paved the way forward for someone like me to think that I could eventually like maybe be in a professorship position, or I can do like important research that contributes to like cutting edge technology.
I wish I had more exposure to all of the things that I could do, not only within my major, but then in the other majors within like the College of Science and Engineering as well. So within my school, we take general courses, you know, like physics and calculus. And then afterward, we kind of narrow in and lock into our main major. And that's pretty much all we do. But I found that I didn't really know what I wanted. I was always trying to figure out what can I do with this degree? Where is this going to take me? How can I make impact on this? And so I was joining a million different student groups. I'm in like 4 or 5 student groups at a time. So I was really just trying to get exposure. Like, what can I do with this and how can I apply it in different fields? And I feel as though you really have to take the initiative and dig into what all the other majors can do to kind of get that information. And I wish that there was more transparency in all of those fields from the start. Because like as an 18-year-old, I don't know what I want to do. And to like kind of make that decision coming in, and now I'm leaving, and now I still don't fully know what I want to do, to be honest. And so it's like, well, now I wish I would have had more experience of that outright. I wanted to know more as to, okay, once I graduate with this degree, what career fields were available to me? So in my case, I'm studying industrial systems engineering. A common thing that we end up doing is being an industrial systems engineer. And I was like, okay, that's great. But I really wanted to explore, okay, how can I apply that in other places, or am I into this particular major? I really just wanted to get more exposure that way.
I think this is more on me than the college experience overall, but I wish I tried out more things. I think it's really hard to see every possibility in college. For me personally, with computer science, I knew that would allow me to have like a financially secure job at the end of graduation. And so because of that, I thought, okay, maybe if I think about all my options, this could be the best one for me financially. Maybe not for my personal interest, but for financial reasons, like this was probably the best way to go. So I like optimized for that and just decided to go down that route. Along that vein, I know a lot of people who study computer science don't just go into software engineering. Like a lot of people go into like research or do other things. So I think like one thing that could be helpful is like maybe computer science departments can have like alumni reach back out and say, this is what I'm doing now. Or we're able to see like the breadth that computer science can cover, because I know a lot of me and like a lot of my peers think like, okay, I guess SWE is like the way to go. Yeah, that hits really close to home because I was just recruiting like last semester. It was very, very difficult. I got a lot of anxiety from it last semester. I got so anxious that I ended up like grinding my teeth every night, and I need to get like a night guard, and I just like wasn't sleeping well, and bad things I would say happened to me last semester. I think what typically happens is the summer after your junior year is where you want to secure like a software engineering internship or PM internship, whatever, like just an internship at a company that you'd be okay working at, because if you get a return offer from them, then you're kind of just like cruising through the rest of the year, like you have a job already. But I did a research internship, and so I didn't have anything to fall back on, which is I think why I was like even more stressed out. Like the potential of me not having a job was there. But as a senior, I was working on my thesis last semester. I was taking 3 other classes, and then I had recruiting, which was like a whole class and a half, I would say, extra added on. And so it was very stressful. Nothing that I learned from class, except maybe like my data structures class from freshman year could be applied to whatever I was doing. And so it was really just made me feel bad and like made me like feel imposter syndrome. Like, I can't even do these problems. How am I going to like work at these companies? But I think it's just something that everyone going into software engineering has to do. So that did make me feel better. Like, everyone had gone through this. It's just practice makes perfect, doing things daily. I watched so many YouTube videos. I got help from all of my friends. Yeah, it was rough.
When I got to college, I was extremely career oriented right out the gate. Even before I started college, I had an internship because I was, okay, I want to get a job. I want to do well in this field. I was very ambitious in terms of like the companies that I wanted to work for. And so that was my number one priority right out the gate. And so I felt as though, in one aspect, I was joining student groups to kind of expand my horizons and see what was available, but it was also to kind of start padding my portfolio and make myself a more competitive applicant. And from every year, I kind of saw it as, okay, what else can I do? Can I do more and more and more? And then eventually towards the end, I started doing internships during the school year. That was definitely my number one priority. I found that while I was studying and I was focusing on grades, I thought at the end of the day, okay, if I can just maintain a GPA above a certain level, that was kind of all I was focused on, because I really valued having that experience. And I thought that the workforce would as well. Best advice that I've gotten from someone is to prioritize yourself and put yourself first above all else. And I say that because as someone who worked really hard in college, I was constantly giving up my time for a lot of different endeavors, whether it be my schoolwork, whether it be the extracurriculars, whether it be like with my friends or internships or other jobs or research. There are a lot of things that can take up your time. And I found that over the years, I was very drained. I was starting to experience burnout a lot and I started to really question, is this even do I even enjoy the things that I'm doing it? Or am I doing it because I feel like I have to, or because I've created this expectation, but now that I'm in so deep that everyone expects me to keep doing it. And so it really took until like a couple of months ago for me to realize that, you know what, I have the power to choose what I want to do and how I want to delegate my time. And so that may mean that I may have to pull back. And, you know, that can be really hard sometimes when you feel like you're living for other people and you want like their validation, like I was for a while, but then you learn that at the end of the day, you just have to do what works for you, what's going to preserve your own mental health and your sanity and what's going to serve you later on in life, rather than what you think other people want you to serve, I guess.
As a senior, I've been doing a lot of reflecting on things maybe I would have done differently if I were to go back as a first year. And I think it's really just try all of your options. Like, don't settle for something when you know there could be like other things that you could try. So I think like a recurring theme that I've been saying is like, oh, I think I kind of like tunnel visioned myself into computer science when there's so many things that I could have tried or maybe would have enjoyed just as much. Yeah, I think like if you have the opportunity to try a lot of different things, I think you should just go for it, whether it's like hobbies, clubs, sports, classes. I think in the end, your exact major doesn't matter. It's really just the skill set that you have, and that's maybe not reflected by like whatever's on your diploma. So just try everything. Don't limit yourself to one option. And just throughout the whole college experience thing, like just have fun. I think I remember so many times when I was working on a piece set very late at the library and I kind of declined like a party offer or like a going out offer. I think it is true when they say like, you know, when you look back at college, you will remember those spontaneous moments. And so I'm trying to create a bunch of spontaneous moments for myself. Like, I'm going to a concert this Sunday, but my thesis is due in 2 weeks. Like, I know my thesis will get done, but these like random moments that you have with your friends, I think those are limited. And so I would just take full advantage, do things you want to do, and just always remember to do things and have fun. Don't take life too seriously is basically what I'm saying.
All right, so today's topic is about bridging that gap between school and the industry. Now, as a YouTuber, I hear a lot from people about how they feel like school doesn't do enough to prep them for a career in technology. In addition to the heavy and demanding coursework, on top of student orgs, possibly a part-time job, maintaining social relationships, and living a balanced and healthy lifestyle, a lot of students also need to get internships for the summer. And so they're doing things like networking, studying for these interviews, and actually going through the interviews themselves. And this was the case for me when I was going through college 10 years ago too. I was studying computer science, an officer in 2 separate student orgs, working 10 hours a week part-time, and also trying to secure my spot in the industry through internships. And let's be real, there's a lot of work involved in all of that. Getting your resume and cover letter up to snuff for recruiters, and then studying for the interviews using something like LeetCode or cracking the coding interview, and then actually going through those interviews themselves leaves little to no time for anything else. So yeah, even today, I hear a lot from students about how they wish that school had better prepped them for life post-graduation. Whether that was in being able to explore different career options post-grad, or learning skills that tech companies are using today, or anything else. Most computer science and technology programs tend to be pretty freaking theoretical, and they more so focus on building a really core foundational understanding of computing and building things, more so than the application. And so a lot of it is on the students to extrapolate what they've learned in class and learn to apply it in their life and career afterwards. And when one of the reasons that many people get into technology is to build stability for their life post-grad, it makes sense that it seems like the degree is more important than what you learn in the classes themselves. And I definitely used to see it that way. But let me tell you, I've been out of college for almost 10 years, and I kind of feel differently about things now. And a lot of it is probably because of the distance that I've had from a university ever since I graduated, but I do feel like it really helped to prep my brain for life afterwards. For instance, I was able to easily pick up Objective-C and Swift after committing to iOS development, in part thanks to my programming languages class. I understood what memory management issues were, thanks to my systems design and lower level programming, and any class that used a C-based language. I learned how to debug effectively, work on a team, manage my time, and also take an interest in topics outside of my major, thanks to all the classes that I took in college. And sure, a lot of the things that you learn in your classes are not exactly going to be things that you're going to be tested in an interview. Honestly, thank goodness for that though, because could you imagine being interviewed in assembly? But they serve as a really strong and crucial foundation that I can build upon, especially because you're never going to stop learning when you're in tech. The world that we live in, the tech industry, the technologies that we use are gonna keep changing and probably will do so forever. And so it's really crucial to have that really foundational skill of learning how to learn to be able to adapt to all of that. Don't get me wrong though, I still think that colleges could always do more to help students connect the dots and set them up for success post-college. Everyone I talked to for this episode, Grace, Governess, Dr. Astrakhan, all envisioned a future in which alumni and corporate partners help to be involved in the university setting and allow students to explore what life might be like after college and what's out there. I know my own university is taking steps to do that too. And I think it's a step towards the right direction. I think that kind of stuff serves as like the best motivation and inspiration that could have allowed me to really get through my program with the right mindset. And this is great because, real talk, university programs just aren't going to change as fast as we wish they would, especially compared to their industry counterparts. And these days, there's so many ways to get into tech without needing to go to a 4-year program, but I still think there's so much value in being a part of a long-term program where you're really fully immersing yourself with these topics with a community around you doing the same. Universities and academics, at the end of the day, are trying their best to serve their students and their institutions. So while change might be slow, it's happening. And in the meantime, while you're in college, the world is literally your oyster. So definitely get out there and explore what's possible. And doing so is always going to be a great opportunity. In our next part, we invite someone from the RTC academia side to give insight into what's going on in their world. We'll also find out about their journey into technology, their thoughts on today's topic, and any advice they have for folks. Today, our guest is Dr. Owen Astrakhan.
I'm Owen Astrakhan. I'm a professor at Duke, where I've been teaching computer science for a little more than 30 years. I was an undergrad, I was a math major. There was no computer science major. It was kind of a long time ago. I took a computer science course. I did very well, but I didn't really like it too much. So I'm sitting around as an undergrad thinking, what am I going to do? And I read a few books about the educational system in the United States and how ineffective it was and how it really wasn't serving all the population well. And I decided maybe I should be a high school teacher. Then after 2 years of teaching in public school, I moved to an independent school. Then all of a sudden I started teaching computer science. And then I decided after 5 years, maybe I should just go get a master's degree. And I was also going to be married soon. And I thought, it's time for a change. And originally I just thought I would get a master's degree in computer science and come back and teach high school. But when I saw what I termed at that point, the abysmal teaching that was happening at the university, I realized, hey, perhaps this is a career path for me that I hadn't thought of before. It took me 7 years to get a PhD, and then I just kind of built it from there. Most of the things I do are built around trying to figure out how to effectively teach students and to bring in, to some extent, topics that are being used in industry. And those could be topics that are related to software, but they could also be topics related to diversity, equity, and inclusion, where to some extent, industry is a little bit ahead of us and a little bit behind us. But the day-to-day is get my courses ready. So I teach 1 or 2 courses a semester, depending on how big they are. And there's the organization of the course, which typically takes place ahead of the semester, and then the delivery of that course, where I'm working probably 2 or 3 hours every day to deliver an hour talk. If it's a course I've taught before, and if it's a course I haven't taught before, it takes far longer to get it ready. One of the things that I think is in my skill set is simplifying things so that they're understandable. I'm a big fan of thinking that college is not about preparing you for the real world. I don't like it when people say, well, when they get out, the real world is going to be like this, so I want to do this in my classroom. I'm not a fan of that for a few reasons, one of which is the people that are doing this teaching as academics don't really have any idea what's going on in the real world in terms of jobs. So, some people say, well, we have to have hard deadlines because they're hard deadlines. My answer is, no, they're not. Most people that have a project, if you are working with someone and they realize that you're going to be late and get something done, they'll plan. We're going to have to delay. We can't ship when we plan to. In software, that happens for sure. In most jobs, people don't always do everything exactly when they're supposed to. I view college as a place where you get to learn. You have 4 years to both make friends and get a foundation in whatever areas you're interested in, both your major and the other courses that you take outside of your major. These days, I think much more learning how to learn, especially in computer science, where the academics aren't really tracking what's going on in industry, but we are very effective, I think, at instilling in students both an interest and desire to understand, for example, software engineering, but the other parts of computer science that aren't just software engineering, and how to then effectively use the skills. And I'm not a big fan always of the word passion, but let's say interest in being able to pick up new languages and new skills. So that learning process is something that students can then bring to their internships and jobs. And they hopefully realize they don't have to be an expert going in. Most places will have an onboarding experience where they teach you about their tool sets and their skills and their languages. And you'll be expected to be able to pick those up, ask questions, not flounder. So teaching them how to navigate those situations is at least as important as the specific knowledge that we're going to get across about this is what a for loop looks like in Python. For me, college is this place that you start your learning process. You have a certificate essentially saying that you have a degree at the end, so you completed it with some success. Now you're launched out and will be able to kind of navigate your job. But I don't think it's the college's job to prepare you for that necessarily.
And that's our show. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Real Talk. Share with others what you learned, what you resonated with, maybe what you were surprised by tagging us on social media at Rewriting the Code and using the hashtag RTCRealTalk. And make sure to subscribe to this channel to get next month's episode. And if you'd like to learn more about Rewriting the Code, which empowers the next generation of college women to be leaders, then check out rewritingthecode.org. I'm Mayuko, and I'll see you next time. Bye!